As collectors, we're always chasing those dream items. The pieces you never expect to see, let alone actually own. Well, today, I'm opening the doors to my collection to show you 10 of my rarest official Spice Girls treasures. From incredibly scarce promotional items to collectibles that almost never come up for sale, every one of these has an amazing story behind it, and one of them was originally awarded to Victoria Adams herself before somehow finding its way into my collection. So how on earth did that happen? Well, stick around, and trust me, I bet there are items in this video that you have never seen before. Item 1 is a promotional item from Holland, and I have only ever seen this one in existence. The Dutch promotional kit for the Spice Girls 2007 Greatest Hits album release gives the release and format info and features the band's stunning photography of the time, taken by Mike Owen. This logo, used for both the Greatest Hits album cover and various merchandise items from their corresponding tour, The Return of the Spice Girls, is probably my all-time favorite Spice Girls logo. It uses the overall design of the first major logo from 1996, but reworked to appear as jewels. Perfect for this record. This fascinating promotional press kit wasn't made for fans at all. It was created behind the scenes for retailers and media partners during the Spice Girls 2007 reunion, outlining the huge campaign behind their Greatest Hits album. Inside, it celebrates the group's return after almost a decade apart, highlighting their worldwide success, record-breaking sales, and the announcement of the long-awaited reunion tour. It even breaks down the campaign across different media, from television advertising and magazine features to online promotions, poster campaigns, and retail marketing.
We bring you our greatest hits.
It also reveals that advertisements for the album were placed in publications such as McDonald's Free In-Store magazine, demonstrating just how wide-reaching the reunion campaign was. The back page explains the 3 CD formats available. The standard CD included 15 tracks, but 3 are not mentioned here, telling us that this was probably one of the earliest promotional items. The track lists for all formats are missing Move Over, Headlines, and Voodoo. CD2 came with a DVD which featured the Greatest Hits music videos. And the gift pack included the CD-DVD combo plus an additional 2 CDs, which comprised a remix album and a karaoke album. 5 postcard prints were also included along with a friendship bracelet. Pieces like this were never intended for the public. They were working documents designed to coordinate one of pop music's biggest comeback campaigns. Today, they offer a rare glimpse behind the curtain, showing not just how the Spice Girls were marketed, but how an international pop phenomenon was brought back to life in 2007. Next up on our journey of rare items is a promotional item from a brand campaign that was never intended to survive for 29 years. This shelf wobbler would originally have been attached to shelves in retailers which sold Walker's crisps during the summer of 1997. Many will remember the television adverts from this campaign, featuring the Spice Girls alongside Gary Lineker. This photograph is taken from those adverts and captures the group with Lineker as they promoted the Walker's competition, where a prize of £100,000 could be won through promotional packs of crisps.
Open a bag of Walker's crisps or snacks and you could find one of 16 million prizes.
Like £5.
A signed CD.
Or a Spice Girls jacket.
Or 100 grand!
Or a crisp.
Gary!
This shelf wobbler represents the second phase of the Spice Girls' partnership with Walker's. The first phase had arrived shortly beforehand, introducing a brand new cheese and chives flavor crisp, with each packet featuring one of the Spice Girls. Like many promotional items created for short-term campaigns, most of these would have been discarded once the promotion ended. However, it is easy to imagine that some were rescued from shop shelves by enthusiastic Spice Girls fans eager to keep a piece of the phenomenon. I presume that's what happened with this one. Today, this vibrant and nostalgic piece offers a fascinating glimpse into the marketing world of the late 1990s. It is a fun and colorful survivor from a campaign never designed to last, and a rare and fantastic addition to my collection. Next up is one of my favorite categories to collect: British tabloid newspapers. This issue of The Sun, dated the 5th of May 1997, proudly features the Spice Girls on its front cover dressed in their self-designed Pepsi outfits, alongside the bold headline Popsy Cola. Newspapers were never created with longevity in mind, but preserving them is incredibly important. With an extensive newspaper archive within my collection, I take great care to protect these fragile pieces of pop culture history. Looking back from 2026, it may seem unusual to imagine a newspaper dedicating its main front page story to a promotional campaign between a pop group and a global cola brand. But this was 1997. Following 4 consecutive #1 singles and the huge success of their debut album, the Spice Girls had become a worldwide phenomenon.
Girls, why you signed for Pepsi Cola?
Why
Because
not?
they're cool and young
It's
and
young
they're like
and fun, and it's like us, and it's a very music orientated Pepsi.
Yeah, it's always had a history
Oh,
of
yes.
music.
And what do you
And
think
the colours
Pepsi
of
can
whiskey.
offer you?
I think, you know, Pepsi.
A lot of money. Joe.
Their Pepsi partnership, their first major brand collaboration, was about to become much more than just advertising, as it would also lead to the release of new music. The Sun's Andy Coulson reported on the previous day's event in Leicester Square, where the Spice Girls officially launched their brand deal. The announcement revealed an exclusive free Pepsi single, as well as 2 concerts in Istanbul that were only available to Pepsi customers. The group's Pepsi partnership was a highly effective piece of marketing strategy. It promoted the Spice Girls and their music across the globe, while also helping Pepsi increase its share of the soft drinks market. Fans were encouraged to collect 20 promotional pink ring pulls in order to qualify for the free CD single Step to Me. It remains a fascinating campaign and one that played a significant role in establishing the Spice Girls as a global brand. I explore this in more detail in my Pepsi campaign documentary, which looks at how this partnership helped shape their rise. Newspapers like this, featuring the group on the front cover, are incredibly collectible and now extremely rare. Their importance goes beyond being simple memorabilia. They capture key moments in history and preserve the media narrative surrounding the world's biggest pop group at the height of their fame. In 2019, the Spice Girls returned to the stage for their spectacular UK and Ireland stadium tour, this time as a 4-piece without Victoria. Across 13 unforgettable nights, they treated fans to their greatest hits, fan favorites, dazzling costume changes, and one of the biggest live tours of the year. And hidden behind the scenes was a very special collectible for us collectors. Each of the 13 tour dates had its own unique VIP backstage pass design, meaning there are 13 different versions to discover and collect. Here are 2 from my collection, and they're absolutely beautiful. From the striking holographic finish to the distinctive shapes and iconic tour branding, they're every bit as exciting as you'd hope. I've yet to work out exactly which concerts these 2 are from, but that's all part of the fun. What makes them so incredibly scarce is that they were never sold to the public. They were reserved exclusively for VIP guests. Perhaps family and friends of the band and crew, industry insiders, or celebrity visitors invited backstage. One of mine was even generously donated to the collection, which makes it even more special. These passes very rarely appear for sale because who would ever want to part with a memento like this? But if another one does surface, you can be sure I'll be ready to give it a home. And who knows? Maybe in another 10 years I'll have tracked down a few more. If you'd like to support me so I can continue to make content like this, please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It's totally free and genuinely helps me continue. Thank you. Now we're heading back to 1997 for what was arguably the biggest range of official Spice Girls merchandise ever produced. PMS International, also known as Gosh, was a Hong Kong-based company. Licensed to manufacture an enormous collection of Spice Girls products during the height of Spice Mania. With well over 400 different items, the range covered everything from handkerchiefs and jigsaws to toy telephones, lunchboxes, and stationery, filling shop shelves across Europe, Australia, and North America. For Germany, the distributor Euro Souvenirs produced these exclusive trade catalogs, sending them to retailers alongside a matching promotional poster to showcase the range available to order. I'd never seen German promotional material for this collection before, so the moment it appeared, I knew I had to add it to my collection. Even better, it still came with its original accompanying poster, meaning the set has remained together all these years. Interestingly, this catalog only features a small fraction of the full PMS range. Perhaps it was produced early in the campaign, or maybe different countries were offered different selections of products. We know, for example, that the American range included exclusive items such as baseball caps, while this German catalog highlights products like colored pen sets, diaries, party supplies, key rings, lunchboxes, and stationery. Like so many of my favorite pieces, this was never intended for fans at all. It was a trade catalog created exclusively for retailers. Another fascinating behind-the-scenes artifact that somehow found its way into my collection.
Funny, even if you don't like us, hopefully you'll find it entertaining and colourful, and you'll laugh at us if nothing else.
Even if you're not a Spice fan, you'll enjoy it. It's about London and the media.
Next up is a genuine artifact from the height of Spice Mania, an item once used by a member of the Spice Girls' close production team during the making of Spice World, the movie. This is a revised shooting script, distributed with a covering memo from the film's editorial department, by Nicole Kavanagh on the 17th of June 1997. The memo updates the cast and crew on changes to the production schedule, making this much more than just a script. It's a snapshot of the filmmaking process itself. What's especially fascinating is comparing these pages to the finished film. In places, the dialogue is completely different. Some scenes were rewritten, others were dropped altogether, and you can clearly see where the girls put their own stamp on the film by improvising lines or delivering them very differently from the script. It's a wonderful reminder that the finished movie continued to evolve right up until filming.
We were basically playing ourselves. Obviously, it's slightly enhanced, and everything's sensationalized. But at the end of the day, how we reacted on that, in the film is how we would react, in real life.
One day, I'd love to compare this script with the final cut, scene by scene, and make a dedicated video exploring everything that changed. I think there are some really interesting discoveries waiting to be uncovered.
But there was references that have been cut out from the Princess Diana, Mother Teresa, Giovanni Versace, and obviously, our respect, yeah.
Production scripts do occasionally surface, but everyone tells its own story. Whether it's the specific revision, the annotations, the paperwork that accompanies it, or simply whose hands it once passed through, no two examples are ever quite the same. And that's exactly what makes pieces like this such fascinating additions to the collection. Money and spice, and all things nice. Next up is another fascinating survivor from the Spice Girls' partnership with Walker's Crisps. This ring-bound presentation wasn't created for fans, but for retailers, taking them behind the scenes of one of the biggest promotional campaigns of 1997. Inside, it carefully maps out the strategy for the two-part campaign that ran throughout the summer. offering a rare glimpse into the business planning behind Spice Mania. The campaign began with the launch of the new cheese and chive flavor before expanding into the nationwide competition, where packets across the Walker's range featured the Spice Girls and gave customers the chance to win a variety of prizes. Before introducing the campaign itself, the presentation reflects on the success of previous Walker's promotions, before proudly declaring the Spice Girls to be the UK's biggest phenomenon. Just like their contemporary Pepsi campaign, it features photography from the iconic Francesca Sorrenti photoshoot of 1996, reinforcing the image that had helped launch the group around the world. The statistics inside perfectly capture the scale of Spice Mania at that moment in time. It celebrates the group reaching #1 in 53 countries, selling an astonishing 11 million copies of the Spice album, becoming the first act to reach #1 in the UK with their first 4 singles, and the first group ever to top the US charts with their debut single. Reading those achievements today is like stepping back into the height of the phenomenon. The presentation then unveils the campaign in full, from the limited edition cheese and chive packs released on the 30th of June to the nationwide promotion beginning on the 1st of September, with an incredible £100,000 worth of prizes up for grabs. It even breaks the entire campaign down into a detailed calendar, where you'll spot another familiar name from 1997. The Spice Girls' equally iconic partnership with Pepsi. Like so many of the pieces in this collection, this was never designed to be kept. It was a working document, produced to help retailers prepare for one of the biggest marketing campaigns of the decade. Today, it survives as a remarkable snapshot of the business behind Spice Mania, and a reminder that even something as ordinary as a packet of crisps became part of one of the biggest pop culture phenomena the world has ever seen. This next piece is the newest addition to today's selection. In fact, it's from this very year. To celebrate the Spice Girls' 30th anniversary, the Royal Mint honored the group with their very own collection of official £5 coins, a uniquely British tribute to Britain's biggest girl band. The release followed another prestigious honor just 2 years earlier, when the Royal Mail celebrated 30 years since the group's formation with a special set of commemorative stamps. Rather than being one of the coins themselves, this is something even more exclusive. It's a limited edition print celebrating the coin's artwork, created by designer Fionn Gwilym.
One of the main parts of the designs are the silhouettes. Spice Girls are so globally known, you can instantly recognise them just by their poses. So I think even if the logo Spice Girls wasn't even on the coin would still be recognised just by their silhouettes.
Only 150 were produced, each accompanied by a letter from the Royal Mint's chief executive and individually signed by the designer herself. The design perfectly captures the spirit of the Spice Girls. At its center are the group's instantly recognizable silhouettes, while many versions of the coin incorporate the iconic colors associated with the Spice album and each individual member. Along the bottom are the embossed signatures of the 5 Spice Girls, a wonderfully subtle detail that immediately makes the design feel unmistakably theirs. Turn the coin over and you'll find the official portrait of King Charles III. Long before becoming king, he shared several memorable encounters with the Spice Girls during the 1990s as Prince of Wales, making this a rather fitting meeting of 2 very British institutions. With only 150 prints in existence, this signed artwork is a remarkable collectible in its own right. It celebrates not only the Spice Girls' extraordinary legacy, but also the craftsmanship behind one of the most prestigious honors the group has ever received. It's the perfect crossover piece, equally at home in the collection of a numismatist or a devoted Spice Girls fan, and for me, it's one that's definitely deserving of a frame. Next, we're heading back to the summer of 1998, when the Spice Girls embarked on their spectacular Spice World Tour, performing across Europe and North America. The group brought songs from their first two albums to millions of fans in one of the biggest pop tours of the decade. Of course, the tour is also remembered for one of the most dramatic moments in the group's history. Following Jerry's unexpected departure, the remaining four Spice Girls carried on, determined to complete the tour, delivering unforgettable performances that have since become part of pop music history. Behind the scenes, it took an enormous team to keep the show on the road. Crew members were equipped with a range of practical items for life on tour, including these backpacks specially produced by JanSport after being commissioned by Big Merchandising, the company responsible for the official tour merchandise. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary backpack, but turn it around and you'll find a wonderfully understated detail: the iconic Spice World Tour globe logo, embroidered discreetly onto the back. It's subtle, but it transforms an everyday object into a genuine artifact from one of the most famous concert tours of the 1990s. What makes this particular backpack even more special is its provenance. It belonged to a member of the Spice Girls' own touring team, meaning it genuinely traveled behind the scenes as the tour made its way around Europe and North America. It's remarkable to think that this bag was there while the girls prepared to walk on stage night after night. If only backpacks could talk. For me, that's exactly what makes pieces like this so fascinating. It's not the kind of item that immediately shouts Spice Girls, but that's part of its charm. It's a quiet survivor from the group's biggest tour at the very height of Spice Mania. An authentic piece of backstage history that's found a permanent home in my collection. Well, we've reached the final item, and this time, I really think I've saved the best until last. In March 1997, the Spice Girls released their fourth single, the double A-side Mama, and Who Do You Think You Are? In the UK, it became their fourth consecutive #1 single, breaking records and helping cement the Spice album campaign as one of the most successful in pop music history. Over in Sweden, the single reached #5 and went on to sell more than 15,000 copies. To mark that achievement, Virgin Records Sweden presented each member of the group with this beautiful framed gold award. And somehow, today, Victoria Adams' own award has found its way into my collection. It was actually given to me as a birthday present, and it's one of those pieces that still stops me in my tracks every time I look at it. Seeing the original artwork beautifully framed alongside the engraved plaque naming Victoria Adams as the recipient makes this so much more than just a record award. It's a genuine piece of Spice Girls history that once belonged to Posh Spice herself. Of course, the question everyone asks is, how did it end up here? The honest answer is, I don't know for certain. Victoria has donated personal items to charity over the years and has supported fundraising auctions, so it's entirely possible this left her collection that way. Whatever its journey, it's remarkable to think that something once owned by Victoria is now preserved here. It's perhaps even more surprising when you consider that Victoria's mum, Jackie, is known to have kept many wonderful mementos from her daughter's extraordinary career. That only adds to the mystery of how this particular award found its way into the collecting world. For me, that's what makes this piece so special. It's not just a gold disc celebrating 15,000 sales in Sweden. It's a tangible link to one of the biggest pop phenomena in history, carrying a story that we'll probably never know in full. And now, after traveling who knows where over the last 3 decades, it's finally found a permanent home in my collection, where I can proudly display and celebrate it. So there we have it. 10 incredible pieces of Spice Girls history, each with its own story to tell. From a backstage backpack that traveled the Spice World Tour to VIP passes that opened doors behind the scenes. From retailer catalogs and campaign presentations that revealed the business behind Spice Mania. To an original Spice World shooting script that captures the film before it reached our cinema screens. we've explored a limited edition Royal Mint artwork celebrating the group's extraordinary legacy, and even ended with a genuine gold award that once belonged to Victoria Adams herself. For me, collecting has never simply been about owning rare things. It's about preserving stories. Every item in this collection represents a moment in time, a campaign, a concert, a film, a record release, or a cultural phenomenon that brought joy to millions of people around the world. These objects connect us to those moments in a way that photographs and memories alone sometimes can't. Perhaps that's why the Spice Girls remain so endlessly collectible. More than 3 decades after Wannabe changed pop music forever, new treasures are still being created. From Royal Mail stamps and Royal Mint coins to Funko Pops, anniversary vinyl, and whatever comes next, the story of Spice Girls memorabilia is still being written. The collection hasn't reached its final chapter yet, and neither has the legacy of the Spice Girls. I'd love to know which item was your favorite, and whether you own any unusual or rare Spice Girls memorabilia yourself. Let me know down in the comments, because I always enjoy hearing the stories behind your collections too. And if you've enjoyed exploring these hidden pieces of Spice Girls history with me, I'd love for you to join me on future adventures through the collection. There are still thousands of items waiting to have their stories told. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like or a hype, subscribe if you haven't already, and tap the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Thank you so much for watching, happy collecting, keep it spicy, and I'll see you in the next one.